Struth, mate, what if I told you that the bloke NASCAR labeled the road course one-trick pony just quietly rewrote the entire Trackhouse playbook on a Tennessee concrete oval and the American media barely noticed? On May 31st, 2026, Shane van Gisbergen finished P5 at Nashville Superspeedway. Sounds tidy, right? A nice top 5 for the Kiwi Rookie of the Year. Wrong. That P5 wasn't just a result. That P5 was a signal flare, a coded message from inside the Trackhouse garage that the balance of power in the Cup Series garage is shifting, and I reckon Justin Marks knows it. Because here's the bit nobody's saying out loud. SVG's average oval finish has improved by over 8 positions in 12 months. That's not progression. That's not learning. That, mate, that's a smoking gun. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why Trackhouse just locked him into a multi-year extension and why Ross Chastain should be very, very nervous. Let's go to the actual data, not the hot takes, the data. Nashville, 80-minute rain delay, qualifying washed out, SVG starts P10 on the metric, lap 36, competition caution drops. And here's where it gets interesting. Crew chief Stephen Doran rolls the dice and calls for a 2-tire stop. The number 97 fires off, pit road P1. Now, here's the part the broadcast glossed over. SVG led 12 laps at Nashville, and that's a new personal best for him, leading on an oval, eclipsing the 11 laps he'd led just 1 week earlier at Charlotte. And during that stint, he went wheel to wheel, over and under, with Kyle Bloody Larson, the reigning Cup champion, on concrete in turn 1. And SVG didn't fold. He just settled in. His radio quote post-race, "I learned to be comfortable moving around in turns 1 and 2, which I've never been able to do before." Read that again, mate. He's not talking about car setup. He's talking about unlocking a corner he previously couldn't drive. That's a driver skill ceiling being smashed in real time on national telly, and the American pundits are still calling him a road course specialist. Meanwhile, and this is the bit that'll make your eyebrows climb, both his Trackhouse teammates DNF'd. Chastain P37, Zilish P38, mechanical failures, both of them. SVG was the only Trackhouse car running at the finish, and he led the team home. That's not a coincidence, that's a pattern. And we're going to talk about why. Now let's talk about the elephant in the engine bay, ECR engines. For the uninitiated, Trackhouse doesn't build its own power. They lease their Chevy Bullets from ECR Engines, the in-house engine builder out of Richard Childress Racing's campus in Welcome, North Carolina. Same supplier as RCR, same supplier as Cowlig, same supplier as Andretti soon enough. And here's the dirty little secret of the Chevrolet camp. In 2026, even V8 sleuth.com.au has been openly questioning whether ECR is lagging behind Hendrick's engine program. Through 14 races this season, Ford has 1 win, Blaney at Phoenix, but Chevrolet's wins disproportionately coming from Hendrick-powered cars, not ECR cars. So riddle me this, mate. If SVG is in arguably the second-tier Chevy engine program, how the hell is he running down Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas on a 1.1 mile oval? Either the kid's a generational talent, which we already knew, or there's something happening inside the Trackhouse engineering shop that nobody's told you about. Here's what I pieced together. Trackhouse's technical alliance with RCR ended back in 2021. Officially, they're a standalone operation. They just buy engines from ECR, but sources in the paddock have been hinting for months that Justin Marks has been quietly poaching engineering talent. Aero specialists, simulator engineers, the kind of hires you don't put in a press release. And SVG, he's the test bed. The 2-tire call at Nashville wasn't a Hail Mary. That was a setup window strategy. They knew the car was better on 2 tires because the long run balance on 4 was rubbish. That tells me the number 97 team has a simulator package dialed in tighter than anyone realizes. Look, if you reckon NASCAR's mainstream media is going to dig into ECR's horsepower deficit or call out the gap between the Hendrick and Trackhouse Chevy programs, you're dreaming. They won't touch it. The sponsors are too tangled. That's what we're here for. If you want the real story, the one with the data, the radio quotes, and the insider whispers from Concord, smash that subscribe button and join the Nation Decoded family, because the next 4 minutes, this is where it gets spicy. Right. Strap in. This is the bit the casual fans don't see. Take SVG's first 25 Cup oval starts versus his most recent 25. Average finish improvement, nearly 6 positions. Laps led up, DNFs down. This is a textbook case of a driver climbing the learning curve and doing it flat out. But here's where it gets juicy. Compare the same 11 ovals from 2025 to 2026. SVG improved at 9 of 11 tracks. The only 2 he went backwards at, Las Vegas and Kansas, both 1.5-mile aero tracks where ECR's straight line speed deficit shows up most obviously. Are you connecting the dots yet, mate? Because I am. Where the car is on equal aero footing, Nashville's concrete, the short tracks, the transitional ovals, SVG is flying. Where ECR's horsepower gap to Hendrick is most exposed, Vegas, Kansas, the cookie cutter 1.5 seconds. He's getting eaten alive. That's not a driver problem. That's a manufacturer problem, dressed up as a driver problem. And here's the kicker. Trackhouse signed SVG to a multi-year extension on August 8th, 2025. Then Red Bull came in as a major sponsor for 2026. You don't bring in Red Bull money to back up the truck on a road course specialist. You bring in Red Bull money because you're building a championship contender. Then they added Connor Zilisch as a third full-time car. The 19-year-old Xfinity sensation, 7 Xfinity wins, the most hyped American talent since Larson. And he's currently sitting next to last in Cup points as a rookie, below Cody Ware, Struth. So you've got Chastain in 26th, 1 top 5, 2 top 10s looking cooked. You got Zilisch in a brutal rookie year, and you got SVG, the Kiwi legend, currently P12 in points, 44 points clear of the playoff cut line, dragging the team home. Tell me again who the lead driver at Trackhouse really is. Here's my read on Justin Marks' chessboard, mate, and I reckon I'm on to something. Trackhouse didn't extend SVG and bring in Red Bull because they want a 2 or 3 road course wins a year guy. They did it because the data inside their shop is telling them SVG can win on ovals in 2027, maybe even late 2026. The 2-tire strategy at Nashville, that wasn't crew chief desperation, that was a test. They wanted to see if SVG could lead an oval restart, hold off Larson, and bring the car home. He did all 3. And his post-race quote, "It definitely feels like we're making headway, Trey. That's not a driver hoping. That's a driver who's been told something behind closed doors." Now here's where it gets spicy. There's been chatter, unconfirmed mind you, that Trackhouse is exploring an internal engine development partnership, not leaving ECR outright, but bringing more in-house. If that happens, the horsepower gap closes, the arrow is already there, and suddenly SVG isn't a top 5 oval guy, he's a winning oval guy. Chastain's contract runs through 2027, Zilisch is locked in long-term, SVG just signed multi-year. One of these 3 isn't going to be in a Trackhouse car by 2028. And if you're betting on the bloke who just outperformed both his teammates while learning the discipline from scratch, well, I know where my Aussie dollar's going. So here's the question I want you arguing about in the comments below, mate. Is Trackhouse Racing actually good enough to give Shane van Gisbergen the championship caliber Cup car he deserves, or is the ECR engine deal the invisible ceiling that's quietly going to cost him a title? Because I'll tell you what, if SVG had Hendrick horsepower under that number 97 bonnet right now, I reckon we're not talking about a P5 at Nashville. We're talking about him in victory lane, popping the cork on the Tootsie's Orchid Lounge bourbon. Drop your verdict below. Hammer the like button if you reckon the Kiwi legend deserves better machinery. And subscribe to Nation Decoded, because next week we're cracking open the real story behind Connor Zilisch's rookie nightmare and why Trackhouse might already be regretting the call. Until then, keep it flat out, mate.